So when you did parabolas in Algebra 2, they either faced up or they faced down, okay? But now for the first time, we're going to learn about parabolas that go to the right and go to the left, okay? And we're going to learn a lot about this and how to find the parts and how to graph them in a different way than you're used to graphing them.
We'll use our calculator.
We're going to talk about lattice rectums and width of at a certain point and foci and all kinds of stuff, okay? Actually, a parabola has a focus, one focus. Ellipses have two foci. We are only going to work on converting parabolas to vertex form. And we're going to do an easy one first. We're going to do that one. So I'm trying to get it to y equals a x minus h plus k. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to have to complete the square just like we did with the circle, but it looks a little bit different for the parabola. The parabola is the only guy that's a little bit different. Notice here that the y is alone, and here the y is alone, so we really don't have to move anything over there with the y, because then it'll just complicate things. So what we're going to do first is we're going to rewrite it and move the 2 over a little bit. Just move them off to the side. So before we can do plus box, the x squared has to be naked. Okay, and it's got a -3 hanging on to it. So I'm going to factor out that -3, and I get x squared plus 2x. Then I'm going to do a plus box. Minus 2, and then I'm going to do a minus box. Write it down and then I'll explain it. Okay, the reason you have a plus box in the first one and a minus box in the second one is because we're on the same side of the equation. So to keep equilibrium, you're going to add and subtract the same number, okay? All right, so pay attention because this is going to get complicated. So I take, just like I did before, this guy here, divided by 2 and square it to get my box, which is going to be a 1. But over here, I really didn't add 1, I added a -3. I have to multiply it by that guy outside. So I'm going to be adding a 3, or putting a -3, which is adding a 3.
Wait, so you do 2 over 2 squared?
Yeah, that's how you do your plus box. The guy with the x divided by 2 squared. So now we have -3 x plus 1 squared plus 1 y equals, and that's my final answer. So when I add 1 here, I also have a -3 out there. What I really added was -3 times 1. So I have to now do the opposite of that. -3 times 1 is -3. That's what I've added.
Oh, and then that.
So I have to do a +3 on the other side, or -3. Okay? For the first time now, you have the y squared and y, and then you have a plane x. That means that this parabola is going to face, it's going to face left actually, but whenever it's x equals, it's going to face left or right, okay? So this is just going to be different. X equals, yeah. X equals is left and right. Got it? And we'll learn more about that tomorrow, because all you're doing today is changing them to vertex form, and then we'll learn what to do with them. Okay? So here we have x equals negative, the y squared isn't naked. We have to take out a -1, and we have y squared minus 10y plus box minus 21. And then minus box, okay? What's half of 10? What's half of 10? Squared? 25. So what I'm really adding here is -25. -1 times 25. So now I have to add 25 to the other side. Okay, so now I have the -1, leave them there. And I would put -1. You could put negative, but I would put -1 because it'll come in handy later. y minus, that sign there, and the square root of 25, which is 5 squared plus 4 equals x, and that is in vertex form.